Was the mic on? Let's get this party started. Episode 116, What's Wrong with Orny Adams? In the year 2013, the band Fun played Carry On at the Grammys. And in the same year, Bruce Springsteen and the E Street Band played You Never Can Tell in Leipzig, Germany. We'll get into this and a lot more on this episode of What's Wrong with Orny Adams, but I almost died again. In Sedona, I went back, remember in an earlier episode, I almost got attacked by some otters in a creek. Well, it's getting worse. I almost got attacked by an angry herd of javelinas.
Another attack by a javelina, this time near Oro Valley Community College. The man says he was walking his dog last night when the javelina charged.
You got to see what these things look like.
His dog and kicked the javelina. And this comes just after another woman was attacked while walking her three dogs.
It's all
Nicole
torn
Hansen
up.
was bit by a javelina to the bone. Just terrible images here. She was able to fight it off with a tree branch.
Hansen says the javelina went after her and not her dogs. Arizona Game and Fish say to go the opposite way if you see one.
Yeah, that's good advice in general. Go in the opposite direction. That's what I do. Anytime an animal's coming at me, I just flee. Now, I know in some cases you're supposed to, I knew that was going to happen. In some cases, they tell you, like a bear, you're supposed to lay down or something, and other bears are supposed to go like that. Like all of a sudden, I have to be a bear expert. I have to go, that's a polar bear, that's a black bear, that's a grizzly bear, and then react a certain way. I run in the opposite direction. Now, this is not advice I'm advising anybody to follow, okay? I'm just going by my instinct, what to do. But this javelina, have you ever heard of a javelina? It looks like a giant rodent. I was almost attacked by an angry herd. It was pitch dark. I saw at least 4 of them. I was in Sedona, and I thought they were wild boars. I was like, what is this? And they smell. They're putrid. Well, they're attacking people. It's like the otters. I'm not going to leave my house if these animals don't shape up. You want to know what's wrong with the world? And I'm going to get into another attack by a javelina later, but you want to know what's wrong with the world? Then you're in the right place. This is the right podcast for you. I went to get coffee the other day. And when you have special instructions, I don't really have many. I usually just get black coffee. I put half and half in it and a little bit of sweetener, and I'm out the door. Listen, if you're a real serious coffee drinker, like you really need coffee, you don't need the flavors and the syrup. It's like medication. Give it to me. Give it to me fast, hot. Let's get the day and the brain going. That's how I divide real coffee drinkers and the people that need flavors and certain milks and all this. It's out of control. But I went to this coffee place and I wanted an iced Americano. This is what's wrong with the world. Look at this cup. Look at this. Look at all the writing on this cup for iced Americano. An Americano is 4 shots of espresso in this case. Over ice, they add a little bit of water. Okay? I say, listen, don't add the water. Just fill the cup up with ice because, listen to this logic, everybody, the hot espresso shots will melt the ice, thus creating the water. And then this will be more iced because if you add ice and water and then the shots of Americano, now it's even more watery. I don't want that. So the girl ringing me in, I was the only one in line. She was the only one working at the store. And I said, yeah, iced Americano, but I don't need the water. Just pour it over the ice. She starts writing it all down. Look at this. Over ice, no water, splash of half and half, Americano check there. Then, after taking her time to write this, she turned around to the espresso machine and started to make it. Could she not remember that I just told her that she had to write it on the cup, or did she forget that there wasn't anybody working there? Like, I'm so confused by this world every single day. I just want to stop leaving the house. Because if it's not like this, which I want to go back and ask her, like, did you think there was another employee there that you were going to hand this to? Or Did you think you were going to forget? Is this protocol that they teach you in training to always write it on the cup? Is this for legal purposes? So when I walk out of there and go, this isn't watery enough, you didn't add water, I signed off on this? This world's crazy. It's like the time I went to get that sandwich. I used to do this joke on stage where the guy making the sandwich then took off his gloves, went to the register, and looked at me and said, "What are you having?" I'm like, you just made it. You just made. It's like when you go into these places and they say, hey, can I get this to an order? They go, what's the name for the order? And you look around, you're like, I'm the only one in the place. Why do you need my name? Everything's become too rigid with all these rules. I can't take it. Where's this other clip of the Javelina? I never even heard of a Javelina until I almost got attacked by them. But they're vicious. Listen to this. This is on YouTube. Again, this is 12 News. I think this is local news in Arizona. The title of the YouTube video is, "It tore all the tendons in my left arm. I couldn't move my fingers. Javelina attacks Phoenix woman." Listen to this harrowing story.
I can't believe this happened to you.
Yeah, I can't either.
Can't believe how bad your audio is.
Nicole Hansen is still in shock after she says a Javelina charged and attacked her while walking her 3 precious pups around the block.
It was probably 3 feet from me. There was a Javelina in the bush.
It happened off Deer Valley Road near 40th Street.
So I tried to make myself really big. I was like, okay, maybe it's like a bear, So I put my arms up.
It worked the first time around, but then she says it came back.
Out of nowhere, it hit me from behind.
Then the Javelina bit her arm to the bone.
Wow.
It tore all of my tendons in my left arm. And so I couldn't move any of my fingers. And then chipped bone.
At any point in time, did you think, I'm going to die?
Yes. When it had a hold of my arm, for sure, I was like, this is it.
She was able to get a hold of a tree branch to fight it off, then ran.
I will never walk in the dark.
You can't outrun these. Oh, wait a minute. What should you do? Let's listen.
We'll have a run-in with a Javelina. I went to the experts at Wildlife World Zoo and Aquarium to find out.
It is good to be really loud. If you encounter some of this wildlife, sometimes just clapping and yelling and being loud is all you need to do for the wildlife to run in the opposite direction. And if you see a Javelina, you want to pick your dog up if your dog's small enough and go the other way.
Christy Morcom with Wildlife World Zoo says she's surprised the Javelina went after Hansen and not her dogs. But she has seen a rise in human attacks because of people trying to touch and feed them.
Yeah, stop touching and feeding the stinky Javelinas. It is so weird when you go to a place just a couple of states over, 7-hour drive, and they have animals you've never even seen before. Remember, in the episode Otter the Ordinary, I almost got attacked by a river otter. I didn't realize it until I got home and I watched all these YouTube videos, and I discovered that the otters will attack humans. So I suspect, and if anybody's going to get attacked by a river otter or creek otter, it will be me. That's the story of my life. So I believe I was this close to death, to being taken out by otters. Wouldn't that be a whole lot of ha 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 in the comedy community if my death was a result of otters or Javelinas? Boy, Arizona, I'll tell you this, they're into law and order over there. They're not messing around. I was there on Memorial Day, and I was trying to figure out if I had to pay for parking. And then I saw a cop writing a ticket for a car. And I said, hey, you guys write tickets on holidays? 365 days a year. I'll write you up. I'll write you up on Christmas. They call me the Hammer. I said, are you proud of that nickname, the Hammer? And he was proudly writing up a car with a handicap plate. I said, well, what if the person is, handicapped and can't make it back to the car in time? He goes, well, we don't care. Arizona does not care. And I'll tell you something, the tour buses in Arizona, they're everywhere in Sedona. You don't hear them. They don't stop. They're not a menace to neighborhoods like here in Los Angeles. You want to know what else you don't see in Arizona? Litter. You know what else I didn't see? Homelessness. You know what else I didn't see? People going into stores and just stealing stuff because they know they're not going to get arrested. Unless it's over a certain amount, $950. That's here in Los Angeles. I saw a woman try and walk out with a thing of lipstick. They shot it right out of her hand. That's Arizona. Hate to say it, but, we got to do something in Los Angeles about the crime. And because our message is, it's a free-for-all here. We have all these, like, in my neighborhood, there are 2 houses that are having parties all the time and charging admission. The police won't even come up and do anything about it. There's underage people passed out on the streets. There's drunk driving. There's double parking. There, on some narrow streets, there's parking where, like, emergency vehicles couldn't get through. They don't care. They don't have time. They explain to us, we don't have time for that. In Arizona, they have time for it. So, although I don't really, I guess I don't fit in anywhere. But it was interesting to see that for sure. So, anyway, check out the clips of the Javelinas and what these things look like. They're ugly. They're disgusting. And I guess they really, really smell. So I got into, when I get ready for my shows, I always listen to music. And in fact, my entire life, music has motivated me. Music and comedy. I was watching a clip. I wanted to talk about this first. This is interesting. I got a message on Instagram. And the person said, I don't know if you're aware of this, but Kevin Hart was talking about you on his podcast, Gold Mines, or Gold Mind, with Big Jay Okerson. Now, I know Jay. I've worked with Jay in New York. And I assume I've worked with Kevin. I've told the story about how I ran into Kevin at Nordstrom's and didn't even know it was Kevin. You wonder why I have no career. You wonder. I'd love to tell him the story. But anyway, for a couple of minutes, Big J and Kevin were reminiscing about their early days about comedy. And they were talking about, like, when you start out, you don't really steal from the people you admire, but you mimic. And they talked about who they were mimicking. And certainly, still you can hear Sam Kinison, Eddie Murphy, and me, Carlin. I was a big Woody Allen fan, and for his writing and just in general. And they started to talk about this one night in New York City where they went to Gotham, I think to see me perform. I was headlining, but they were also there because they were friends with Keith Robinson, who was sort of taking them under his wing, from what I understand. And they were talking about me and how I used to open with this joke about lupus. And Jay tells the joke, not very well, but, that's not his fault. And then he says at the end of the routine, so Orny talks about how, and this is a joke I was supposed to do on Letterman, but they made me change it from lupus, because apparently this was going to upset the lupus people. I should have known the world was over then. When David Letterman, the edgiest comedy late night show, the edgiest comedian, the comedian that wore sneakers as an FU to the network, wore sneakers with a suit, that snubbed his nose at that network and made fun of the network every night. When he got to the point where it was like, we can't have a comedian making fun of lupus. Again, a joke that I knew nothing, an illness I knew nothing about. I just saw, this thing on a bus about lupus. I knew nothing about lupus. And it was also a funny word, lupus. Funny, has that p in there, lupus. And I knew that, as a comedian. And so Letterman, the day of, they had vetted this set for months. And the day of the shooting, or the taping for the show, Late Night with David Letterman, I get a call from my manager, George Shapiro. I'm in a hotel in the lobby. And he said, where are you? I said, I'm in the lobby. I'm getting ready for the show. And he said, the show thinks, or Dave thinks, I think they said Dave thinks that you shouldn't say lupus. He doesn't want you to say lupus. They want you to, they're afraid of offending the lupus people. They think it'd be funny if you said psoriasis. Now, I've told this story before. I don't know anything about psoriasis. I don't know anything about psoriasis. And my manager, George Shapiro, said to me, listen, you can, we can pull you off the show, but they'll probably never have you back on. Or just say psoriasis, which is not a funny word. And it's pretty common, psoriasis. It's skin disorder. So what's funny about lupus is nobody really knows lupus. And it's a funny sounding word. And it's lupus, not psoriasis. That's adding 2 extra syllables to my routine. That's taken up half of my 6 minutes for the set I have on Letterman. I'm convinced they didn't want me to have a good set. I have so many weird stories from that taping. Do you know that right before I was supposed to go out, when I'm standing on the wings, somebody in the dark, I don't know who it was, had headsets on, came up to me and said, I hear the band playing. They're coming back from the commercial break. Dave is about to introduce me. And somebody came up to me and said, with this hand gesture, hey, you're a really big comic. Remember. And he's doing the hand thing like, settle down, don't be so big. He said, you're a really big comic. Remember, this is Dave's show. And you can see, as I walk out, you can see me sort of turn back, like, who was that? What was that? That's gamesmanship, okay? That's somebody, trying to throw you off, okay? Playing with my hair. Then I walk out, and the Letterman show said, hey, we'll have a cue card that says psoriasis, just in case you forget. Now, I should have just pretended I forgot and said lupus, because lupus is funny. You understand, I've been doing this joke for years. And the joke is this. I think I have lupus. Audience would laugh uncomfortably. I was on a bus in New York City, and there was a sign on the bus that said, chances are somebody in the bus has lupus. I look around. I'm the only one on the bus. Right? That's a nice opening line. I'd never said these words before. I think I have psoriasis. I was on a bus in New York City, and there was a sign that said, chances are somebody in the bus has psoriasis. I look around. I'm the only one on the bus. Well, guess what? Chances are everybody on the bus has psoriasis. It's common. Lupus is not common. You know what else makes the joke funny? Lupus is a disease that affects mostly women. This joke was funny, and they ruined it. And they forced me to do it in a way that I'd never done before, and I wasn't comfortable with. And I walk out. I know nothing about psoriasis. I knew nothing, to the point that when the guy was holding the cue card, I looked up. I'm like, it begins with a P? And then I started to mispronounce it in my head. I'm going, I have psoriasis? Psoriasis? So that was my opening joke at the time. And then I would close, and I'm calling something, maybe for a doctor's appointment, and I'm acting all like crazy, and I'm asking these questions or whatever. And the woman says, is this the guy with lupus? So now at the end, I have to say, is this the guy? The guy's 6 minutes, a guy's holding a sign on the Letterman show that says psoriasis. Is that distracting? Looking at the word psoriasis for 6 minutes when you're not talking about psoriasis the whole time? So then I close with psoriasis. Here's the best part, and you can't make this up. The set didn't go well. I can admit 2 times in my career, sets have not gone the way I wanted it to, that were high profile. One was Just for Laughs, Montreal Comedy Festival, when I did New Faces. Did not go well. The second was The Letterman Show. I knew it didn't go well. Even though people will tell you it went well, it didn't go well. And I flew home the next day to Los Angeles, because I lived in Los Angeles. And You can't make this up. A lady on the plane comes up to me and says, I saw you on Letterman last night. Or did I see you? Were you the guy on Letterman? I said, yeah. She said, I have psoriasis and it's not funny. And I said, oh, I know it's not funny. Lupus is funny. So Big J Okerson is telling this story how he was at Gotham one night when I was headlining, or maybe I was in, Bill Burr was on the show they mentioned. Maybe I was just doing a set. And he was there with Kevin Hart. And they saw me do this callback. And Kevin, Big J said, it was like, we were like, whoa. It was like watching somebody make the atomic bomb. And Kevin said, we were blown away. Our heads were blown. He blew our minds. We realized we're not even in stand-up comedy. We don't even understand how much work goes on into it or the fundamentals of writing. And, you know, it felt great to hear that. Because I've always said, more than playing the biggest arenas, selling the most albums, having the most views, being on the front page of the best streamers, one thing that has always been just a lot of equity to me emotionally is the respect of my peers. And I feel like at times like this that I have it. And so I told this story last night on stage. Because I love when I'm on stage and I'm doing great and there's people in the audience that don't know me. I was in Los Angeles last night. I did the Laugh Factory on the early show. Then I ran to the Improv, closed their early show, then went back to the late show at the Laugh Factory. And I told the story and everybody cheered. And I think they were cheering because they liked me and they thought it was cool that Kevin Hart was a fan of mine. And I said, whoa. Don't clap. This guy Kevin's done nothing for my career. All these movies, can't even put me in as an extra. And anyway, so it's fun. And I have no contact with Kevin. If I did, I would talk to him about all this stuff, but I thought that was cool. And then somehow I was watching Eddie Murphy Raw, because in my head, I was thinking about that story about when Bill Cosby called him and tore into him for swearing a lot because his son Ennis, was it Ennis? Right? He did that impression. Ennis went to see his show and came back swearing, and saying, MF, suck my did. And Bill called Eddie, and Eddie does his impression. I would like to talk to you. and then Eddie Murphy calling Richard Pryor, and Richard Pryor telling Bill Cosby what he can do to him. Eddie Murphy was such a powerhouse comedian, so likable. If I had thousands of his likability, people would like me. I'm envious of people like that. I've said it for years. I'm envious of Adam Sandler and just how likable he is. So watch that clip. Watch Eddie Murphy Raw. I mean, he'd be canceled for everything he said now, and which I think is absurd. I'm starting to push back on a lot of things lately. And, I had a run-in with an autistic kid. I talked about that last night. And I'm pro-autistic. I'm not, it wasn't anti, and it wasn't hurtful. It was, it was just, I don't want to get into it. But come see me live. I should say my tour dates. Well, next week I'll be at the Ice House in Pasadena. This will be June 22nd. Ice House in Pasadena, Saturday night, one show. The following Thursday, I think it's the 28th. Is that right? Or the 27th. What would be the 27th. 27th, I'll be back in Las Vegas at Jimmy Kimmel Comedy Club. I'm there a lot more now, so come see me there. Tickets are selling. And the shows are amazing. So they're like, we got to get Orny Adams more. And I'm like, I'll come, just keep paying me. And then that weekend, so I'm going to drive to Vegas, and then I'm going to drive to San Diego. I'll be at the Mic Drop the 28th and 29th of June. Come check out all those shows. And I'm going back to the Comedy and Magic Club in Hermosa. All these dates are up on ornyadams.com. But, and then you can see me locally. Just doing local shows like last night where I do 20, 30 minutes. And, and I'm on a show with some other great comedians you can enjoy. Last night, the second show at the Laugh Factory, I went a little bit over because I was having such a good time with the crowd, and then something came up, and I needed to address it. And, I did I was supposed to do like 15 minutes, and I did 18 minutes, and then I started to get shit from people about, and I'm just like, oh my God. I mean, never let a clock get in the way of art if something's going right. And it just reminded me of when Bruce Springsteen, remember that clip I played of Bruce Springsteen getting booted off the stage? Here it is. And I realized, or maybe here it isn't. Okay, no, there it is. No, there it isn't. No, there it isn't. I guess I didn't cue up the clip. So let me do that right now. Let me find this. This is Bruce Springsteen. Remember, he was playing in Hyde Park in London. Now, England has a history of cutting the American artist off early. I found another example from 1972. And I hate when people run the light in comedy. It's one of my pet peeves, especially when they're dying. And they just keep going, think they're going to find their life raft and get out of this with a laugh. It's so selfish. But, if you go like a minute over, 2 minutes, especially, in my defense last night, 2 comedians didn't show up. And when I got on stage, I thought they needed me to go a little bit longer. I didn't even think the next comic was there yet. And I always ask for a 5-minute light, and I didn't get a 5-minute light. But, okay, here's Bruce Springsteen getting tossed off. Please don't have an ad first. I'm going to mute it. Hold on, mute that. Okay, ad, go ahead and play. I think when I'm rich, I'm going to get that YouTube where you don't have to pay. So, here's the end. I don't have a queued up price. There it is, Bruce Springsteen and Paul McCartney. Paul McCartney, royalty, I would think, at Hyde Park in London. And Bruce is holding up, Bruce is holding up, they're opening up the guitars, Paul McCartney, Bruce Springsteen, having a celebration. Crowd is chanting. Bruce puts his arm around Paul McCartney. Look at this crowd. That's more people than I've ever played in my entire life.
They told me it's late, but they can't throw us out of here now.
Oh, you just wait.
Oh, they're going to kill Paul.
This is Bruce Springsteen. This isn't Orny Adams at the Laugh Factory.
I've been told they can't throw us out of here now, so we'll see you next time.
No, that's great. Unbelievable. So I found an example. From 1972. Chuck Berry, The London Session Blues. Now, when I was a kid, I would go to my Uncle Mike's house, and I would listen to their albums, their vinyl. I was always listening to music. I've been music-driven my entire life, like comedy and music. And I was a kid in high school that always walked around with headsets on, those foam headsets with my Sony Walkman, and it had a little mute button, and I was always listening. I was listening to the Rolling Stones a lot. And I'm going to talk about the Rolling Stones at the end because they're the greatest of all time, and I know why. I know why. So I would listen to this album, this Chuck Berry album, because there was this song, it's so juvenile, called My Ding-a-Ling. And Chuck Berry sings about ding-a-lings. I think we know what we're talking about, penis, right? And sex, and it's innuendo, and it's childish. But, I was listening to this when I was younger. I was like 24. I was really young, and I don't even know if they knew what I was listening to. But anyway, at the end of the concert, he plays My Ding-a-Ling, and then he plays Johnny Be Good, and the crowd is going crazy. So what you have to understand is most of the music I listen to is live music. I only like live music because I like to hear them play it in front of the audience. I want While My Guitar Gently Weeps with Dave Grohl just pounding on those drums like a primal person. Just, and I want to hear the back and forth. I want to hear the crowd cheer. I love that happiness. I love the happiness of hearing a crowd cheer and laugh. That's why I do stand-up comedy. But I remember from a young age this happening. So the concert ends. Chuck Berry ends on Johnny Be Good, and apparently he went long, much like Bruce Springsteen in Hyde Park and Orny Adams at the Laugh Factory. 3 minutes over. I walk off stage. I did so well. I just expect the club to thank me. I'm so out of touch. Sorry I worked a little extra harder for you for free. I'm not going to charge you for those 3 minutes. But this is in London. Listen to the way the British are treating an American. I don't like it. There you go. That's how the British are treating American artists like Chuck Berry and Bruce Springsteen. I don't like it. I don't like it. Now, I want someone to help me out with this musical stuff. Okay? Because I opened the show talking about in 2013 the band Fun. Remember Fun? They were fun. That song, Carry On. Carry on, carry on. These lyrics. I can't play it. This podcast would be so much better if I was allowed to, play multimedia and have snippets and stuff like that, I don't care if somebody takes my comedy and plays it for, a few minutes or something. Anyway, boy, this hair. That looks good. Okay, Carry On. These are the lyrics. I woke up to the sound of silence. I woke up to the sound of silence, cutting like knives in the fit, and the family you and a bottle of wine. You heard the. All right, we know when I sing it's not good, but anyway, they played this at the Grammys in 1973. Two musical things popped up. I'll talk about the first one, then I want to talk about Fun, which I think is just tragic. Here's a video of Fun at the Grammys in 2013. In fact, they won a Grammy. And you can see how excited they are. And I'm watching this, and I'm thinking, this is a band. This is it. This is a band that... hold on, I want to fast forward it. Okay, here's the lead singer. Look at him, young and looks a little bit like John Mulaney. A lot of these guys look like John Mulaney. The Avett brother, I was watching that video. Remember the Grammys? It was the Avett brothers. It was, what is that other one? Mumford & Sons and Bob Dylan. I look at the Avett brothers. Let me get to that one. Let's do that one quickly. The Avett brothers... Okay. Again, I have to mute this, right? Because I have no rights to any of this music. All right, here's David Letterman introducing Mumford & Son. Okay? You got to watch this video. I'll fast forward a little. They are having so much fun. And you think their life just got made. I think the Grammys are a curse. Look at this right now. Look at this shot of the lead singer and guitarist. You're going to see a smile on his face in a second. And, it's just beautiful. I love seeing people, just at the top and just loving it. And they're all smiling and having a good time, and they're playing on this small stage. And so, okay, watch this. Here's his face. I think this is when it happens. I saw this one shot. I go, this guy... His career just got made in this one shot. That's what I thought. Look at it, just playing it. Now, if I could play the audio, then, of course. Anyway, so then it goes on to the, I'm not going to find it, I guess. The Avett brothers. Okay? Now, I see these people. They cue over to them. And now they're playing a slower song, and they just have to follow a lot of energy. This is tough. Now, the lead singer looks like John Mulaney to me, And then on keyboards, that's Nick Thune, another comedian. They could cover this band. And then at the end, Bob Dylan comes out and plays Maggie's Farm, and then they all play with him. Can you imagine that? You're a young artist and you're playing with Bob Dylan, and he's playing Maggie's Farm. I don't know why he's playing that song in 2011, but what a thrill. It's just fun to see, like, and you think this is the next generation. They're going to be huge, just like fun. And maybe it's a curse playing the Grammys, because here's fun. This lead singer, in shape, singing, and at the end, rain comes down. I emailed Mark Mann. I'm like, could they ever play in the rain? Are they lip syncing? Because they don't even lose like a beat. They don't. The guitar player is soaking wet, and they can play the guitar. So let me get to the rain. So here comes the rain. Look at this. Covered. They're getting soaking wet. I love this band. Look at the piano soaking wet. He's soaking wet. The guitarist, Jack Aronoff, he's going to have to take his glasses off in a second. This is 2013. And I wonder what happened to these people. What happened to these people? So I end up in this obsessed with reading everything about it. And I start with the lead singer, because I assume the lead singer is the one with the ego that broke it up. Now, the lead singer and the guitarist, okay, the guitarist right there, you can see him. Love what he's wearing. He's like a mechanic in a jumpsuit, and he's got nerd glasses and a mohawk. Cool dude. Instantly likable. Again, look at him. Ah. So I thought, what happened to these people? What happened? How were they this big and then they just disappeared? They went on hiatus, and I guess they came together as some sort of like what they called a supergroup. They met when all three of them were touring with their own bands, and they decided to come together and do some hits. And apparently one of them, Jack, knows how to make hits, because that guitarist, he's gone on to write, he's won Grammys. He produced 3 of the biggest albums, I think last year, and won a Grammy. He writes songs or produces songs for Taylor Swift and other people. And I thought it was the lead singer. I thought, well, maybe the lead singer caused a breakup. Like, usually that's the case. Like, they go, oh, I don't need these people. I can do it on my own. And I'm going to say this. Never leave the band. That's what makes the Rolling Stones so great. Mick Jagger could go, you know what? It's all me. I'm the vocals. I'm the guy running around. I'm the one the camera's on 90% of the time. But you know what Mick Jagger said? I'm the sum. I'm part of a sum of something greater. Meaning, okay, it might be a lot of me, but without the little percentage from the other people, instead of 80%, I'm 5%. This is the worst math I've ever done. But you know what I'm saying? Like, I knew not to leave Teen Wolf. People wanted to leave Teen Wolf. I go, you don't leave a show that's on the air. Do you realize how hard it is to be on a show, and on a show that's on the air, and on a show that's on the air for 100 episodes, and on the show on the air 100 episodes and a hit? Where are you going? Very few people like a Dylan O'Brien have such a monster career. And I wonder if that's what happened with Fun. I don't know what happened. Love to interview that guy, Roos. That was the lead singer, Dave Roos. And find out, like, what was it? Did he was dating Jack Aronoff, I hope I'm saying his name right, his sister. Did something happen there? I know I've made a lot of mistakes in my career, but I never left the band. I know I've alienated myself from a lot of people, but I never left the band totally. You always, hey, keep Fun going. We can do other stuff too. But now I was feeling bad for this guy. for everybody in the band, thinking, why did they ever break up? They probably never did anything ever again. And then I started to read about that guy, Jack, and, he's a big-time producer. Huge. So I don't feel bad for him. But Nate, the lead singer, now maybe he's got an unbelievable voice. In fact, he's featured in that song with Pink. God, I saw a video of Pink doing that song, Give Me One Reason. Give me one reason. She's doing it live. And instead of having Nate out there for the song, she's got him on like a big screen doing a duet, like remotely on a videotape. So I get into this rabbit hole of what's fun up to. And the guy Jack's done very well, so you can't feel bad for him. And maybe he's the one who said, I'm not doing this anymore. Maybe he felt like he was pulling too much. I mean, clearly the guy's talented. I watched a video of him talking about how he produces, and the I think he's a music genius. I think he knows, he's just talking in these terms. It's beautiful. A real artist. Type of artist I want to be around. Feel that energy, the passion, the knowledge. But what happened to Nate Ruess? I can't find any videos of him after 2020. I think I found one song, but I don't know. Again, was the song recorded earlier and then just uploaded by a fan recently? I know he's got a couple of kids. Talks about retiring. I know he has a podcast. But does he regret leaving fun or letting it go away? Or does he feel like he did it? I just can't imagine. Even Jack Aronoff, am I saying his name right? I don't want to get it wrong and sound really dumber than I normally say. Is it Jack Aronoff, producer? Antonoff. You wonder why I have no career. I can't even pronounce the name of the guy, one of the most successful producers. Antonoff. I knew I was saying it wrong. But I can't imagine, even Jack, like he's in another band right now, touring, but never got as big as. I mean, you're up there, you're doing the Grammys, you're in front of every single person in the music industry, talking Avett Brothers, talking Mumford & Sons. You have to think somebody here has to be a super fan. I mean, I felt this every special I've done. Somebody must be watching that is going to have a passion that can change my life, that can help me, get to that next point. And that never happened. But you have to think. So even Antonoff, who's producing for Taylor Swift and winning Grammys, has to want to be back in that one moment. And they're in that moment, they're never thinking, this is it. This is the end. This is the last time I'm going to see you, buddy. It's I don't know. But I found this. Now, this I'll play. This is like a scene out of a movie. This is titled Nate Ruess. Okay, so Nate Ruess was the former singer of Fun, still on hiatus. They didn't officially break up. And John Tittering performed Elvis's Can't Help Falling in Love. They're in the lobby of a hotel. They're at the Seminole Hard Rock Cafe and Casino in Tampa. And his voice just doesn't sound good. His demeanor doesn't sound good. It's, listen to this. They're in the lobby, and there's people just walking around. These guys won a Grammy for some song. Listen. Elvis's gold piano is behind them. Guy going up the escalator rather. There's some woman just walks by, doesn't even look at him. A lot of movement. Fiji waters on the stage. Looks like one of the stages I do at corporate events where you think it's going to fall down beneath you. And you can see Nate has like gained a little weight. He's got more hips. Another person going up the escalator. He looks deflated. I have that same shirt as well. Oh, there's a woman in the background checking in to the hotel in a white plaid dress, asking for the Wi-Fi code. Listen to everyone just talking. This guy won a Grammy for a song with fun. Guy with sunglasses in the middle of the day, of course. Oh, I feel bad for Nate. He seems dialed out. Oh, it's sad. Look at these people in the background. The river flows slowly to the sea. This looks like a gig that I would be booked on. Another guy checking in the hotel desk in the background. Who's that? Barry Katz? There's Barry Katz. He probably booked it. I wish this person panned around so we could see the entire environment. Looks big there. Hey, Nate, come on this podcast. Talk to me. I know you have a podcast you do right now about movies or TV shows. Please. I want to know. I feel a kinship with you. I really do. Okay, crowd likes it. I guess. I just want to know, buddy. Please. But that's what makes the Rolling Stones great. It's the sum of the parts. Never leave the band. I'm telling you. Don't leave the band. That's my advice. What's wrong with Orny Adams? Don't leave the band. Ever. Also, don't get in the water in a creek in Sedona because there could be otters. And I'm sure there were some of those stinky javelinas that can also have rabies too. That's the other thing. They can be rabid. Everything in Arizona, including the guy writing parking tickets, can have rabies. Now, I'm looking at myself in the camera. I look good. And I want full credit for this. I want full credit for looking good because I am constantly dieting and I'm not using any medication. I'm not going to shame the people, shooting needles to lose weight. I mean, some people need it for medical reasons, obviously, blood sugar regulation. But I'm talking about the people that are doing it for vanity, okay? I have friends their entire lives. They've been chunky or overweight, and all of a sudden, they're skinny. They found the skinny god. And I don't mind that they're doing it that way, but don't brag about it. Don't post pictures of you in the way you look now and act like all of a sudden you figured it out while the rest of us haven't. I'm still 10 pounds overweight. My entire life I've been 10 pounds overweight, and I have to basically starve myself for this, okay? I work so hard. I'm doing it the old-fashioned way with starvation and mood swings, and I want credit for that. What's wrong with Orny Adams? Episode 116.
What's your name, Kev? Orny Adams.
I want to thank Eric Stoltz, not the actor. You know what? I want to thank Eric Stoltz, the actor, too, actually, now that I think about it. I want to thank Eric Stoltz, the actor. Okay, thank you, Eric Stoltz, the actor. I want to thank the band Fun. I want to thank Bruce Springsteen. I want to thank Buddy, no, it wasn't Buddy Guy. It was Chuck Berry. Chuck Berry, ladies and gentlemen. Settle down, kids. This is a management. Get the American off stage. Thank you, Eric Stoltz. I know you're out of town, but you're still going to master this audio. I appreciate it. And I thank you, the listeners. everyone that emails me at what'swrong@ornyadams.com, everyone who's on my Patreon, I thank you. I thank everyone that watches us on YouTube. I thank everybody. And thank you. Please come see one of my live shows, ornyadams.com/tour. And I look forward to seeing everybody for episode 117. And if you're in Sedona, be careful of those wild, angry, human attacking. You know, they claim they're vegetarians, those javelinas. They only eat leaves until they attack one of us. Stay safe, everyone. Thank you. God bless the Rolling Stones for knowing never to break up. They're 122 years old and still performing. And they're not doing Elvis covers in the Semolina Hotel in Tampa. No dig on him. I'm right there with you, buddy. I'm at the same point in my career. All right. So when I feel bad for you, I'm feeling bad for myself. Thanks, everybody.